For this video, I'm going to do a little bit more of a personal kind of journal style, where a question I've been wondering for the last day or two is, should I play the move of d4 in my games? Because recently I've been playing the move e4 and generally having very good results in the main lines there, but I've been kind of tempted to play d4 recently after seeing some very nice ideas in some analyses by Matthew Sadler, who has his own very nice channel, Silicon Road, on YouTube, where he basically shares these interesting ideas and also some different PGN files. And it occurred to me that I could sort of take his ideas and turn into a repertoire of sorts, where, for example, after e6, there are a lot of very interesting ideas you can play with just knight c3 and this free knight system against a QGD, where you can sort of play a little bit more aggressively than used to be thought possible. For example, against bishop e7, the classical QGD, I'd normally just been playing bishop f4 and just been playing very classically in my games. Most of my online opponents are going c6, just giving me a very easy life, for example. But it also, this move of g4 is actually very interesting, and it's actually a move I was exploring back in 2009, when I was, when I started this Dangerous Weapons Queen's Gambit book. But I stopped playing it because I just thought that, black just castles, and because of g5 knight e4, that black just gets a better position with just play in the center, which actually happened in the first game where I ever played this system as white, where even though I won the game, I felt like I didn't get a very good position out of the opening. But Layla's come up with this idea of playing queen c2 instead, and I noticed that, Sadler's actually been winning quite a lot of games against quite decent players in online blitz. In fact, looking at the top game, let's see, Sadler's games coming up under his username, GMMDS2694. So this is something that could be kind of interesting to play, and, in a similar vein also. After c6, actually, if you are wondering what the inspiration for some of these ideas are, it's that basically they're coming from Layla, but not in the normal Layla 0 engine, but Layla with a very high Chem factor, meaning that it's going to try to create a winning chance in any way possible, and not really care so much for the objective valuation of the position, instead focusing more on saying the maximum practical problems. And the idea that Layla came up was to go g4 and basically just sacrifice this pawn with, with this kind of double pawn sack for a nice lead-in development. But recently, Shevchenko also played this move e4 against Erigaisi and won a very nice game when Erigaisi didn't handle it the right way. But I feel like this could be a good weapon because it's very hard for black to find the best move. In fact, in 5 games on lead chess, none of the players have found the best move for black, and I think white is going to get some very nice active piece play and just very good compensation. I think this can be an interesting practical weapon, which is very likely to surprise just about every opponent. And of course, there are things they can play, but like bishop b4, queen a4, I'm pretty happy in these kinds of strategic positions. Those who have watched my channel for a while might remember I analysed a game between Gukesh against Sargsyan with this bishop d2 move, and if you do want to make sure you can keep up with my trainings, then I do recommend subscribing to the channel, where I'm now doing a video, like about a 10-minute video each day, so that it's content to help you improve your chess every day, but not so long that it's a bit overwhelming. So after knight c3, if they go dc4, for some reason someone was calling me on Facebook and it disrupted my concentration a bit. But after dc4, what I want to show was that after e4, if they go bishop c4, I think that, this sort of gambit is just very naturally suiting my style. I think that's all well and good. And if they go c5, I think I'm pretty happy to just play like normal chess, like say being knight c6 with, maybe a3 and just keeping a little more tension in the position. Or if they go a6, just to go a3 and playing the way it was suggested in the most recent Sadler video, where you just go like castles and, just basically go for like, rook e1 and e4 and all this kind of thing, like just very systematic as it were. So that's kind of the direction I'm leaning towards there, and that's sort of the main options for black that we covered. There are some sidelines they can play, but nothing too much to be too concerned with, let's say. So that's kind of the direction I'm thinking against e6, and it's true they can play Queen's Indian, but I think that in this case, like a3 is something like this probably suits my style quite well. Just, play chess and just get a position in a way. And if they play bishop b4, knight d2, I've put some work into this line lately and have found it to be a pretty good one for white. actually the modern Indians are kind of liking even a idea of even taking with the knight and just trying to go for e4 is it's kind of a nice way to have a bit of dynamism in the position here. But anyway, and yeah, if they go c5, yeah, also this idea of e4 and again, kind of playing it in Sadler style, like delaying knight c3. It's actually something I used to play nearly a decade ago and had really good results with. So I'm thinking of potentially going back to that and just having this as a sort of repertoire against the e6 systems. Now, another question is what to do against g6. And I have to admit that this is probably the main reason that I moved away from d4 to e4 lately, because I was kind of having some problems with the King's Indian in some games. However, when I looked at the statistics, I have noticed I've done pretty well with this h3 bishop e3 system, where I seem to do pretty well in these positions, and I mostly face the move knight c6, and yeah, here I saw playing Prague's move of knight g2 from I think it was the Prague Masters where we played this, if I remember correctly. But, I might also learn, like, the main line at g4 and, start playing this for a little bit of variety to get maybe some more, more ambitious kind of positions. But anyway, it's something I think I'm reasonably comfortable with, and probably I'll revise a little bit, but I think I should be fine here for the most part. And if they do play d5, I was not really sure what to play against Grunfeld, but I'm kind of like the idea of going h4 and just playing it very much in Layla style, which is as Matthew Sadler recommends. But I think you can have a lot of fun, like just sacking the pawn just for some long-term compensation. Something like this, for example, is quite interesting. And yeah, I do think these sort of positions do suit my style pretty well in terms of getting some dynamic play and really being able to use your better developed pieces and extra space, as it were. I have to admit, I was studying this early today. I've kind of forgotten the details after b5 at this point. But yeah, okay, you can, in the worst case take and, get a position in any case to play from here. With chances for both sides. So I feel like that's a decent option. Maybe I'll come up with a better one. Like maybe, for example, I'll end up also playing something like Queen A4 as I recommended in a Lead Chess blog post of mine a while back. But yeah, basically, this is sort of where my head is at, where maybe at some point I'll add some other system like H4 as an anti-Grunfeld, but it feels relatively low priority. I think I can, because it's like going to be playing Bullet, like I'll be able to just play a pretty narrow repertoire and do quite well with it. Also, recently I was looking at this Sadler idea of G4, which is probably not one I'm going to actually play all that often. Like I'm probably just going to stick to a more normal move like BA6 or E3, but yeah, it's at least something I can mess around with a bit and see if I can have this sort of 64% win rate in the database. I can always check if I can replicate this myself, or if it's only Sadler and the Layla engines who can match it. But anyway, that's sort of showing how to play against the Indian defenses, where if I do have some problems against King's Indian, I can always play like Knight F3 and just go for something like the London, which I actually have had very good results with the London against the King's Indian. It's like one of my better performing systems with white. But with the idea that if like E6 we go C4 and just transpose back into E6 lines, it's a move what I might end up playing if I find something's annoying, or I just want to avoid like Benoni or the Benko or something like this. Then at least this is a way in which I can do so, which is generally going to be pretty good results. Like I had a few good wins with the E4 Gambit in some recent games, for example, where you sack a pawn, we get this really nice lead in development in return. Quite nice in the sort of Morphy kind of style of play, let's say. But yeah, that's sort of where my head's at with beating Knight F6. Against D5, I tend to be pretty happy in these positions. I noticed my results with London were not so good in the D5 versions lately, maybe just due to like playing the position so much where you just kind of stop focusing and become like playing a bit too much on autopilot. But I have worked quite a lot on the Queen's Gambit positions when I was writing about them for Chess Publishing in the past, which actually was for many years in the past. And yeah, mainly options like E6, C6, and DC4 really. Where against DC4, I'm probably just going to play like just the normal main line and go for something like B3 or DC5. I've kind of looked at both these lines lately. Like DC5, there are also some nice ideas for white. Like Turles, I think was giving some ideas with like Bishop E2, where you kind of go like Knight A4 and just sort of be a little bit annoying. Or if they do play B5, have like Knight D2 and again you can sort of exploit like some of the weaknesses on the queen side to get good practical chances in like a position where, if black plays correctly, they can hold, but it's clearly only white who can push for the win here. And in the lead chess database, yeah, like white's got a pretty nice score of, 50% wins, 70% draws, 32% losses. But I do think, yeah, that probably for me it'd be like less losses and maybe more draws in that mix because of how safe it is to play white. But, and okay, there are things that should be looked at, like knight c6 is, obviously a recent trend, and, bishop e7 is also played by Gukesh. But, yeah, for the most part, you can kind of meet in a fairly common sense way in like the absolute worst case scenario and still, get a position to play. Yeah, if they go e6, like this is obviously just going to transpose if they go knight f6, and c6 maybe let's even play like e3, and they can play knight f6 and head into a slow Slav, but it's something where white is obviously the one who is pressing in a position like this one, let's say. You can choose whether you go knight c3 or knight d2 or like what plan you go for. You've got that nice bit of flexibility to work with. Now, if they play Tarrasch, I never was really too concerned with the Tarrasch. I think it's pretty easy just to, come with a decent plan here without really knowing any theory. It's, just avoids the Dubov variation with CD4 as well when you haven't played knight c3 yet. But yeah, if they do play Slav, this is maybe where I haven't really quite figured out exactly what I want to commit to. But I have like a few ideas of, for example, playing like knight c3 and, again, going for g4 if they play semi-Slav. Or, if d4, maybe playing like Dubov Gambit and, just playing it quite aggressively in the Layla's style. And also, Sadlev showed some nice ideas with this bishop f4, where you end up just like sacking the pawn, but just getting this kind of Catalan-style compensation. Again, I think it's something that, even though the engine maybe is not a huge fan of it, I think it can definitely set back a lot of practical problems. And, I do have quite a bit of experience playing Catalan in the past, so I think a fairly easy adjustment for me. If I don't play this, maybe end up playing e3, but yeah, I think I'll probably just go with knight c3, and if I want to deviate, I will, but this will probably be just playing the main line, essentially, is probably the direction I'll end up going with, try and play as aggressively as possible, rather than, trying to, let's say, play just super safe. Like, basically, I want to try and play d4 in the spirit in which I'm playing e4, like, just very principled, sort of main line-ish, but also having some deviations where I can really set the maximum practical problems to the opponent. Lines like c5, this never really bothered me too much. Like, going white's just much better here. If they play g6 or d6, I'm probably just going to transpose back to my e4 repertoire and be reasonably happy in such cases. And if they do play something like f5, I'm probably just going to do a lazy option like bishop f4 and just play like a London sap, which does prove to be a little more effective against the Dutch than some of the other systems. It saves the effort of having to learn like the the main lines with e6, like Stonewall, g6, Ilyin Chernevsky. Just playing the London just makes it easier, and my results are pretty strong in these lines actually. White, I think it's a good fit. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of if I do decide to play d4, these are probably the sort of lines I'll experiment with at first, and I'll just kind of like look at my games, check my results, and kind of keep the lines that are scoring well for me, and replace the ones where I'm not doing so well. I think it's true, like, earlier today, like, I was really playing, like, really badly. Like, it was weird that, yesterday I beat, like, a 2-9-3-2 guy in bullet, like, 9.5 in this game. And today I was, like, struggling to even, like, put away 2 800s was, really, really frustrating. But yeah, I'm hoping it's just a temporary thing I can get back into a decent form so I can continue showing you instructive games that I've played. Where I'm not just, talking about, let's say, okay, this is an idea that you can try, but actually showing like how my thought process worked, like break down the sinking technique or how to convert that advantage, as it were. Do let me know in the comments below. Like, did you enjoy this kind of different style of video, like a little bit more of a personal touch? And what are your thoughts on some of the ideas? Like, what was kind of the craziest or the most interesting idea I shared here that you're interested in? And as I said before, if you want to learn a bit more deeply about some of the ideas I showed, I definitely recommend checking out Matthew Sadler's Silicon Road channel, and also checking out his PGN file where he's given actually quite a lot of nice analysis for free, which is obviously very generous of him. But yeah, when I was sort of thinking about it, I kind of realized maybe one reason why my technique and winning position is a lot better is just from like playing through the million like engine games he seems to put into his files, like what I played out till mate. But anyway, I digress a little bit. So yeah, I will see you in the next training video. And until then, take care.